Hey guys, today is, let me check, it's March the 7th. Today is Tuesday. Excuse the way I look. Today I've been working outside and I've been trying to paint on my porch a little bit. I have some new updates. First, off with the Crohn's treatments that I've been taking. They swapped me over to Stelara. I've only had my first infusion, let's see, it was let me think. It was in February. So my first injection is actually going to be in April. I think it's April 13th. So I'm a little excited, a little scared too about it. I've done some of my research, of course. The side effects are pretty scary, as you all know, that are suffering with Crohn's. As for that infusion, the initial infusion, it went well. Actually better than the Remicade infusion that I had. I had 3 Remicade infusions and my heart would race. I would get headache pains on and off, shortness of breath. What else was it? Just several things that I just did not enjoy with the Remicade. I mean, it just didn't seem like it was for me per se, but it could work for you. There's people, I'm on a Crohn's and colitis group on Facebook, and they say that Remicade works for them. They're on either Remicade, Stelara, Skyrizi, I've heard of that recently, Humira. I know I've heard of a few others, but I can't think of them off the top of my head right now. But the only medications that I've been through, Humira was first off, which I don't think I really failed that. I think my doctor at the time, my GI, was just kind of worried about my side effects because I had the headache pains with Humira, and then my joints would ache a good bit, and she wasn't really that educated in IBD per se, and so she wanted to go ahead and switch me, and that's when I got switched to the Humira, to the Remicade, because she thought that I needed to be monitored by a nurse, which that's fine. If you're not that experienced, do what you think is best. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician. I'm just giving my real life advice and testimonies. I still struggle wondering, if the right GIs are on my case. They say that it's moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Only God knows if what they have said is correct. Only God knows that. Some days I want to run away and hide. Some days I want to be like, I don't take any medication. I am so grateful for the people that have done this research, the studies. Oh, sorry about that. I hit the table. It's shaking. Okay. I am very grateful for the people that do the scientific research and the study on these drugs, because they help so many people, that are suffering with irritable bowel disease, even IBS. These biologic drugs, they treat people with arthritis, psoriasis. This is just what I'm aware of as of right now. Probably hear my stomach growling. Apologize. Okay, I'm trying to think of anything else that I could tell you guys on my update. Oh, also, I had been out on short-term disability. Well, I forget how many weeks it was. It ended sometime in February, and I've been waiting to hear back for long-term disability. But since this is the first for me, I didn't know that transitioning into long-term disability where I worked at was cause for termination of my job. So after working there for 11 years, that just came as a shock to me. You know, I've had that job. I mean, that was part of my identity, or so I thought. And now Human Resources is telling me by law we have to terminate your position and proceed with the termination paperwork. So it took me a while to come to terms with that, which I'm still not on certain terms, but God gives me the strength each day to get through it. So I have a blessing. I got a call yesterday that they approved my long-term disability, but of course it's going month to month based on what my doctors are saying. It doesn't have to be permanent, you know, depending on how I feel and if I think I'm able to work a full-time job. I was doing that, but it was taking all of me. It was taking all of me. I felt like I could help people at the time, but the certain people that were over me in that facility, they didn't understand that they should talk to the employees and really ask them how things worked. How could they be of help to help us get out the numbers that they wanted? Could we train somebody? Could we move somebody? How can we help one another? You know what I'm saying? They just saw it as, we've got to get this certain amount. And I don't care if you have to work 50, 60 hours at a certain point, and I don't care that you only have 1, 2 people, at least 2, maybe 3. I don't care. Somehow make it work. So, honestly, I did love that job, just not the way it was planned out. But I know that everybody needs guidance and help. And like I say, I pray for them that they can receive the help they need from God so that they can turn it around. Before, I mean, they lose everybody, every employee that was a help to them. But anyway, off that subject, I've been doing good. Of course, long-term disability brings up insecurities. Sometimes I feel like I'm not enough at times, and I've got to constantly remind myself I'm not working for anybody else. I'm only working for what God expects of me. So as long as I do my best in the things that I'm doing on a daily basis, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Of course, this is my opinion. But I just wanted to give you guys some updates on how my life is going. I am doing good. God has always found a way to stop me in my tracks, because I would be caught overworking my body, which is my temple, to Him. I would overwork it. I would be so tired when I got home, so mentally and physically tired, that I couldn't give myself like fully to anything else. Needless to say, this has happened several times. This is God telling me, you've got to stop and listen. Because in 2015, that's when the real turning point started in my journey. Okay? Because 2015, I'm working full time. I'm going to school, which I think at that time I was already done with tech school, but I was working a lot. I was on night shift. I'd been on night shift for 4 years, and I was really trying my best to go to family functions, and it was just wearing me out. And I've always liked to walk, and my dad, me and him, we'd always walk together. Where he lives, it was more of a dirt road then, but now it's kind of upscaled some over the last years. But there's a full circle that would go back to his house. So I can't remember exactly how many miles it is, but we would try to walk that, not every day, maybe like once a week or something, once every 2 weeks. And I noticed this time just something was different. Of course, my dad, he's always good at out walking me. I don't know how, this man, he's always been good at that. And just this time, while we were walking, I was so exhausted. And I felt like I was lagging behind so much more, and I just couldn't understand it. I'm like, why can I not catch up with him? Why can I not do this? And then there was a house being built down the road at the time, and my dad, he's always one for, hey, you want to go look at this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Of course, it's somebody else's land, but nobody was there at the time, so we went and looked at it. And then my mom stopped by to let out my younger brother, one of my younger brothers, and I just felt this tug. Maybe you should ask to ride back home with her, because we were on the starting point of the journey, you know what I'm saying? We were only about not a quarter mile, maybe almost a mile out from his house, starting, not ending. And I just ignored it. I'm like, well, I don't want them to think that I just can't do it, you know, which was silly of me at the time. I should have listened. But, you know, we can't change the past. But anyway, I kept walking, and when we got closer to his driveway, I can still remember seeing them. It's like a hill before you get to the flat part that goes to his driveway. I can still remember seeing them up the hill in front of me, and me still thinking, I don't know why, I'm just so exhausted, and I can't seem to catch up. And then once we finally got to Mom and Dad's house, I remember I was going to see my boyfriend, my now husband at the time, and we already had plans, but I called him and I told him, I said, I'm running a fever and I'm not sure why. I said, so we can't, go out tonight. And I remember that was the worst fever I had ran in my life, because people would talk about chills and sweats, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I never had a fever like that. Never. And this time I did. I had the balls of sweat, the shivering, just the hot and the cold, and then my appetite was just horrible. I just didn't feel like eating much at all. I'm not sure the exact timing of the progression, but I know it was in October, I think the beginning of October of 2015. I remember we had a dinner, and of course with a dinner you look at everything and you think, well, I gotta eat so much off of this and so much off of that because I want to try everything. Of course, well, I ate too much, which I've done that before and not had much problem, you know. This time it was different. I had went with my now husband to Walmart. Like I say, I can't exactly remember the timing of each thing, but I went with him to Walmart at the time. And I remember my stomach, it just ached on and off and come and go. And I was talking on the phone. I don't remember if it was my mom or my sister at the time, but it would come and go. And I thought, well, it'll just go, you know, later. It'll go away. And when I got back home, so I guess that was before the dinner. Wait, no, it had to be after because of me eating, so, okay. And then when I got back home to my mom and dad's house, I thought, well, if I just use the bathroom, it'll go away. I sat in that bathroom. I don't know how long. It just seemed forever. And my stomach would hurt on and off. And I finally used the bathroom a little bit. And then somebody knocked on the door of the bathroom. It was either my mom or dad, I have no idea, and asked me if I was okay. I don't even remember what I said. But I think I was able to get myself dressed. And I was just so weak. My brother, and I think it was my husband, now husband, had to literally carry me outside because they were going to take me to the hospital. But as soon as they carried me outside, I had to throw up too because it was just too much, you know, altogether. But then after that, my stomach muscles started convulsing on and off, and it was so bad. It was like you did 1,000 crunches in one day. And I remember being taken to our local hospital, and I had a CT scan done. Oh, it was awful trying to lay down, and my dad was in there trying to help me relax and to lay down. I can just remember the pain, and I remember that CT tech telling me, well, I really like your socks, because they were bright colored Puma socks at the time, but oh, I was in so much pain. And what's funny, they said, you have free fluid in your abdomen. Okay, but nobody said this could be a perforation. So they sent me home. They sent me home. I don't even remember if they told me a medication to take at the time, but that just kills me that they sent me home. But like I say, only God knows what was supposed to happen. And even prior to this, I remember my mom taking me to my primary doctor because we weren't sure what was going on. And he even said, this is a viral infection. I just want to send you home with such and such. And I thought, okay. And that made me feel dumb because I thought I was overreacting. Well, then since I know it sounds crazy, I was 25 at the time and never saw a gynecologist. Okay, well, they want me to see a gynecologist because of this. When I saw a gynecologist, they did that pelvic exam. That was horrible. Horrible. Not knowing at the time what was going on was a perforation to my small intestine. Okay. But when they did that pelvic exam, oh, it hurt so bad. And I remember the man doctor telling me, it shouldn't hurt this bad. I'm not sure what's going on or what's wrong with you. Okay, so they get the scans back. They just suspect, oh, well, that free fluid that was going down, now they see it. You have endometriosis. Okay. So my mom and my dad actually go and speak with, it wasn't the same gynecologist that had done the exam. It's one that was more local, okay? Speak with him, and they're thinking, well, you need surgery to get rid of this endometriosis. Said, okay, well, and we were even talking about, possibly taking out an ovary and stuff like this, and I was so devastated because I'm 25. I haven't been married yet. I was planning on getting married, and at least having children, or so I thought. I don't know. But, so they scheduled the surgery. It was November the 13th. It was a Friday. Because I remember my sister saying something about it being Friday the 13th, and I thought it was kind of funny. But I wasn't really that scared because I was in a lot of pain. So I was ready to get something done. So they take me back. And I didn't know all this while I was in surgery. But I don't even remember how long it was. I'm thinking 5 hours, something like that. And they said it was only supposed to be like a couple hours, maybe. Well, it turns into that long, and my family's getting worried. And when I come out of surgery, I wake up very confused. I'm not in pain as much anymore, but okay. I look down at my stomach. I have this bag on me. I'm like, what is this? And I'm just like, no, because I did, how we all do some research on the internet to see what our symptoms are, and I kind of had a little bit of knowledge of possible ostomy bags, and I'm like, I don't understand this stuff, But, excuse me, it was an ostomy bag, an ileostomy, which is, okay, since I had a perforation, this is my intestine. I had a perforation in the middle. Okay, so they had to cut that perforation out and then reconnect it right there. Well, that would be the reversal, actually. Okay, let me go back. For the ostomy bag, here's your perforation. They cut that out. But the part that goes to your colon, they leave that alone. It's just basically suspended inside of you. But the part that comes from your stomach, your esophagus to your stomach, to that part of the intestine, that's what comes out, a hole. They cut out a hole in your stomach, and then they sew what they call an ostomy, which is part of your intestine, to your stomach muscles. So usually an ileostomy would be on your right side, and a colostomy, which is for your large intestine, would be on your left side. This, as far as what I know. Okay, so I woke up with an ostomy bag, and that's just something that's very overwhelming if you're not familiar with it at all. You're like, I don't understand this. And then at the time, you're still having bowel movements come out of the normal way, come out that way too. And coming out of this bag, and you don't know how to change it, and it's so acidic that it's breaking down the skin on your stomach, and it's painful when that happens. So there was a lot of trial and error in that. But before I go to that part, that surgeon came in. He said they put like a drainage needle in one side or something. I'm not sure what that is. But he said as soon as I did that, it started filling up with, I think he said, greenish fluid. So he had already cut me open like the C-section cut for the endometriosis. So I had that closed at the time. And then I had to cut an incision up the middle where my belly button is, because he realized, hey, there's been a perforation. There's a, I guess you'd call it bile, in the abdomen cavity. So he had to call in a general surgeon, the ones that would do like gallbladder surgery, appendix, stuff like that. And I'm very blessed that I did not die, because I know I was starting to get sepsis. I could feel it. And before I even had the surgery, when I'd eat something, it just felt like it didn't go anywhere. And half the time I would throw it back up. Then, like I was saying, getting used to the ostomy, my dad helped me out a lot with something he didn't even know how to do, but having a second set of eyes to be able to see and to cut the wafer for the bag, that helped it seal up so much better. And I was doing really good with it, and I went back to work after about 7 weeks, which was still premature because my stomach muscles, they had not healed in the way that I would have liked them to, and they still haven't, but I'm working on that. But anyway, I went back to work. I had the ostomy bag for 6 months. It was only supposed to be like, I think 3 months, but I can't remember exactly why it turned into that long, but I started doing really good with it. And then when he was talking about reversal, I was really scared because I wasn't having any cramping like I used to have, and I was just scared. But since I was so young, they said, you know, hey, do a reversal. And I thought, well, that makes sense, so I'll go ahead and do it. And in 2016, I had my reversal date, which was April the 11th. It went well. I think it only took like maybe an hour or so, the actual surgery. But adjusting once I got home, like now, I was used to be, which I still am, but not as bad, like a sugar addict. I loved lots of different types of chocolates, junk food, cookies, which I still do, but I learned over time that I had to use that in moderation, because I would have diarrhea so bad that I'd be carrying around Pedialyte. And it was horrible, and I was exhausted all the time. But God has given me, not I, God has given me the wisdom to continue learning about these things, about nutrition, and blessing these other people that I watch on YouTube, on TV, wherever, and letting me be able to listen to what they have to say and kind of bring it full circle, and to help me figure out, okay, this doesn't have very good ingredients, you're going to feel bad afterwards when you eat that, or this chocolate you keep eating is going to cause you to have the runs if you don't stop, okay? So, and also, I think it makes a difference. My ileocecal valve, the last valve between your small intestine to your large intestine, they had to cut that out too. So I think that has a role in that, and that is where it's narrow. So I have issues with cornbread, too much potatoes, too much grits, things with skin on it, like if I ate a whole lot of peas, or a whole lot of blueberries probably, which I hadn't tried that. I'm not going to. A whole lot of squash. I know I have issues with that. If I just go out to eat a lot, boy, I feel terrible. So I try to eat at home mostly when I can. And if I can't, I try to make better choices about what I'm eating. I just do my best in the circumstances. But that's only part of my story. I don't want to make this too long. But I appreciate you giving me the time, your time, to listen to what I have to say. And like I say, my next injection it's supposed to be scheduled for April the 13th, as far as I know. And I'm scared but excited, because it's going to be a subcutaneous injection, and it's an actual syringe that you can see, so it's like a shot per se, where the Humira was a pen, like an well, not really EpiPen, like, I guess you could say like the pricks for if they check for diabetes, like that. It's just like a prick, but anyway, it comes in a pen, but this comes in an actual syringe. So I've never given myself a shot like that, but I know that I can do this if it helps me. And if any of you guys have tips on Stelara, or I don't know, any other ways that your eating has helped you, the changes that you've had to make, just let me know. I'm here to just tell you my story and hope that God can use it to help you to navigate through this. Like I say, thank you for your time, and may God bless you all.